Folks, some really bizarre things have been happening with Elizabeth Warren over the last couple weeks here. Some of them technically even longer than that, but just in the last few weeks, Elizabeth Warren's been committing a lot more unforced errors with her campaign. Now, we had actually talked months ago about the fact that Elizabeth Warren did commit that unforced error with the DNA test, not by taking it, but by not jumping on top of the narrative. As she tells it herself, which has not been amplified enough, she had been told by her parents that, yes, we're part Native American. And so that's why she had said that she was. I've been told that by my parents. A DNA test confirmed that that was never true. Kind of same thing with Elizabeth Warren. You know, she got a little bit, but not much, and that's how she should have described it. Nonetheless, unforced error on her part by letting Republicans capture the narrative. Now, in the last few days, we have seen reports that Elizabeth Warren is meeting with Hillary Clinton. That's not good. Why? Why? What possibly could Hillary Clinton be telling you that would benefit your campaign unless the only thing she told you was, for the love of God, don't do anything I did in 2016. Do better. Go visit Wisconsin right now. Like right now. Go. But I'm willing to bet Hillary Clinton didn't do that. We also learned that Elizabeth Warren, who has promised not to take corporate PAC money in the primary, although she's open to taking it in the general, which is another, I don't like that. But anyway, her campaign right now is also using leftover funds from her 2018 Senate race, and some of that was from big money corporate donors. So that's not technically true that she's not using only grassroots money in the primary. She is using roughly 10 million left over from big money donors. So that's disappointing. And then you also had the other day when TYT's Emma Vigeland asked her straight up, hey, you voted for this massive, horrible military budget. Could you explain why? And Elizabeth Warren danced around the issue. She couldn't actually answer that question. These are all unforced errors. These are all things that Elizabeth Warren could have and should have avoided. But here's the thing. I'm not saying this as somebody who hates Elizabeth Warren. She is absolutely my number 2 choice. If she wins the nomination, I'm not going to be upset at all about that. In fact, according to the latest polling, 80% of Bernie Sanders supporters would be okay with Elizabeth Warren getting the nomination. Same thing with 80% of Warren supporters would be fine with Bernie getting it. I think only 60% of Biden supporters are okay with Warren. So the Biden folks are really the ones who don't like Warren. But nonetheless, folks, I like Elizabeth Warren. I trust Elizabeth Warren. And I think, based on her record in politics, that she is going to be as progressive as she says she is going to be. And that's why it is infuriating to me when I see her make these kinds of mistakes. I would love to see a a Bernie and Warren ticket. I don't want Biden anywhere near that. I don't want him anywhere near it, folks. But Warren keeps making these kinds of mistakes. And they're stupid mistakes. And they're mistakes that actually shouldn't necessarily cost her. But they are. Because it gives the appearance to those who may have been on the fence that she's weak, or that she's dishonest, or that she's somehow corporatist. And I can understand why people think that. When you do things like this, when you break that pledge and say, I'm not taking corporate PAC money, with a little asterisk and says only during the primary, except I'm also kind of using it in the primary. That's not okay. When you suddenly decide, like, I'm going to go talk to Hillary Clinton and pick her brain about how to lose a presidential election, not a good sign. When you can't give a straight answer as to why you voted for this horrible, expanded, bloated military budget, not a good sign. And I'm not saying Elizabeth Warren is the only one with flaws, folks. They all have flaws. But hers cut a little bit deeper because I really like her and I really do trust her and I want her to be on that ticket. But in order to make that happen, whether she's at the top of the ticket or whether she's the vice president, she's got to clean up these mistakes, got to work on this a little bit better, and be prepared to take answers from reporters like those at TYT and elsewhere who know what the hell they're talking about and they legitimately want to get those answers out to their viewers so people understand where the candidate is coming from. Warren has to work on that if she wants to make it onto that ticket. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.